Today's webinar is on the Oracle Analytics Cloud and Server, the product roadmap that we will be covering. So let's take a look at it. Let's get started. This is our safe harbor statement. I'm just going to pop this up here for a second for you to take a look at. My name is Alex Toothman. I'm part of the product strategy team here. Ben Arnoff, Jamie Anderson, Farivar, and Maddie are also part of the team, and they're on with us today as well. We have our Oracle Analytics presenters. We have Avinash and Jacques. They're going to give you an overview and all the details of the roadmap, as well as answer any specific questions you might have on features that they're discussing today. So let's take a look at the agenda. We're going to take a look at the introduction. Ben's going to give us an update on the Oracle Analytics community. Then Jacques is going to give us a little bit of a deep dive on the AI assistant. Avinash is going to talk in detail about the roadmap. And then any questions that we haven't addressed in the chat, we'll definitely get to at the end, and we'll wrap it up. So let's get into the fun stuff. Ben, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to change my screen like this. Okay, and I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Hello and ding, ding, dong. Okay, perfect. So thanks. I see we have also people from India. I know it's late for you, so thank you so much. I'm going to start to give you just an overview of what is the Oracle Analytic community, because a lot of you are contacting us every month, asking for some question about the roadmap, about some help, sometime about Oracle Analytic, about some ID to be submitted for the product roadmap, and more and more and more. So we are going to put in the chat the specific URL of the community. It's free. You can go to this website. At the top, you have a menu with different categories. You have different resources, product guide, resources, training, and so on and so on. We have different events that you can join. To join an event, you just click here, Oracle Analytic event. And this year we are packing every month with a lot of events. So you will see Fusion Data Intelligence, SEAL Guidance. You will see Oracle Analytic Ambassador Meeting, Oracle Analytic Community Webinar. We are now having also Data and AI Forum in different cities where we are going to launch some user groups. So go to event, start to see what you want to do. You can click on a specific event.
Hey Ben, do you want
Probably
to
what you did.
actually show them the community site? Do you want to pull that up and show them?
Oh, okay. I thought I was. Okay, so that's a bummer. So let's see.
I'm
I'm
able
going
to
to
see
share
it, Ben.
again.
Oh,
Oh,
you can
you are
see it.
I'm
able?
able to see it.
All right,
Yeah.
sorry, I can't see it on my side.
Okay. Can we have maybe a check with the people, the attendees, if they can see my screen, just to be sure? Yes, we can see it. Okay, perfect. Thanks. So basically, on the website, you can directly go and see at the top some of our announcements. One I really want you to watch, it's the Oracle Analytic keynote from TK Anand. TK is reporting to Larry Ellison. He show in September what is coming for Oracle Analytic, Fusion, Data Intelligence, and more. So watch this keynote. You just have to click. You will see that on YouTube. The second thing I want you to know is that you have a team of experts on the website. It's our Oracle Analytic ambassador. We have Gianni, we have different other people. I think we have Federico Venturin, which is in the call right now. We have different experts here to help you. How you can do that? You just click on forum, join the discussion here, and you have multiple forums, Oracle Analytic Cloud, Fusion Data Intelligence. You can click on Oracle Analytic Cloud and Server, click on the specific forum that you want, and here you can ask any question. I monitor that every day when someone asks a question. Usually in the next hour, you have someone replying. And you can see accepted answer, and so on and so on. You have Jacques, Avinash, myself, Alex, and thousands of other customers from Harvard, the NASA, Vanguard, HSBC, MetLife, and so on that are replying to your answer here. So you are not alone. Then if you go back to the home page here. Going to check something really quick. Where you click here, you can have also the event. I just displayed that to you. Then user group, we are rebuilding this page. We are going to put user groups everywhere in different cities close to you. So I see you are in Mumbai, you are going to have a user group for Mumbai. If you are from Rome, same thing. If you are from Marseille, Paris, Tokyo, you will have a user group. And I believe Alex, Jamie, Fari, Mauricio are going to be on site in Phoenix, in St. Louis, in Nashville, and I think San Diego to launch different small user groups. So you will have one in different cities. And then finally, the best for the end, share an ID. So a lot of people are asking how the product roadmap work. And you can see the product roadmap here, or you can go at the top of the screen, knowledge base, product roadmap. You click, and when you click, you are going to be able to download the product roadmap PDF here. I open it. It's the one which is going to be presented by Jacques and Avinash. I think I have to click twice. Here, a lot of people say, okay, what does it take to have a feature in the product roadmap and a feature which is going to be planned and released inside Oracle Analytic? What it takes, it's usually to attend this type of quarterly webinar and make your voice heard, but also to go to ID Lab here, click Share an ID, select the specific ID lab, let's say Oracle Analytic Cloud, and then click New ID. What do I want? I want org chart, or I want something specific. You put your ID here, and when you put your ID, you ask for people to vote on your ID. I will take, for example, some top IDs to show you how it works. For example, ability to share data flow with other users. That ID, specific IDs, has been delivered because it receives 72 votes from different people. Another one that I did a couple of times, schedule a data visualization to be available, to be sent by email. If I click on it, I receive for this ID a lot of comments, obviously, but also if I go to the first page, 1,000 views, 35 comments, 57 votes. And it has been added to the product roadmap and then delivered by the team. So remember, you go to the ID lab, you put your ID, you ask for the community, maybe in a post, to vote for it. You ask in LinkedIn to post for it, in X, in Twitter. You ask people in your companies to vote for it. We review that every month. If you have more than, let's say, 100 votes or more than 50 votes, we will review it and we will check with our developer if we can deliver it. And if we can deliver it, then you will have Jacques, Avinash, few other people coming to this quarterly webinar and showing you this ID becoming a feature. Okay, so you can do that. Last thing on the community website, check the news and announcements. We are announcing here a lot of new updates. Sometime when we have a new AI assistant or different things. And you can go to the news and ask questions directly to Jacques, directly to Alex, and we reply to you here. If you want to receive an email every time there is a news, go here following, click, and say, I want to receive an email every week, or I want to receive an email every time there is a news in the community. And last thing, we have also a data visualization gallery. Just post your data visualization here. We will put them in the public gallery and people will be able to interact with your data visualization of Oracle Analytic here. Remember, Oracle Analytic is a leader now in the industry with Gartner, IDC, Forrester. We have the most innovative features, and this is because of you. So again, thank you very much for your participation. Thank you for giving us ideas and new features. And back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Ben. That was a great overview of the community. It's absolutely a great place to go. Again, if you have questions, this event was posted there. There's a lot of other events you can access there as well. And if you're a frequent user of the community and you would like something added or a little something different that you've seen somewhere else or you think would be helpful, go ahead and send Ben a message and let him know. We definitely love to get some feedback. All right, next up we have Jacques. Um, Jacques, welcome. I think you're gonna share your screen.
I am. If I can find my Zoom window, hang on 1 second. There we go. Here we go. So, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, I guess, depending where you are. So, today I'm going to walk through a feature that we've been working on a really long time, and we're super excited to finally get it out in the wild in a broader scope, if you will. And so we're going to be walking through real quickly the Oracle Analytics AI Assistant. And so we announced at Open World the general availability of the Oracle Analytics AI Assistant, or just the Assistant for short. And we announced two modes that the Assistant will be available in. So today, what's currently available, it's actively rolling out right now across all regions, is what we call the out of the box Oracle Analytics Assistant. And effectively, what that means is that at no additional charge or license required, customers will start receiving the ability, or will start having the ability to make their data sets available for chat, if you will. The rollout plan for this feature, given that, as we all know, language models require a certain amount of compute, the rollout plan is progressive over the course of the next several months. So we are actively rolling it out across all regions right now for the larger shapes. And each subsequent release, so we started in September, in November, that threshold will come down and will reach a broader audience until we get it in everybody's hands. So this is not limited to only large instances, but given the requirements of adding capacity in the data centers and the compute, I'm sure you can all appreciate sort of the heavy lifting that's going on right now in order to getting it in front of everyone's hands, or in front of everyone, every customer. Again, at no additional cost. Now, what's great about the out of the box assistant is that it's entirely Oracle managed. So we have a language model that's hosted by Oracle, it's managed by Oracle, completely black box to you. You don't need to know where it is or how it's working. It's just, you turn it on and you can start chatting with your data. The benefits of that is that your data and your questions, nothing ever leaves the OCI and the Oracle domain. And of course, none of that information is used to train or further refine the models in any way. Today, that feature is available on effectively all data sets. So for those of you who know the Analytic platform, we have data sets and then you have the semantic model. The semantic model, or subject areas, is coming in the first half of next year. But for now, whether you're connecting to a database or have multi-table data sets or any other variations of data sets, you can today turn on the assistant across all regions. Now, the out-of-the-box assistant really lets you sort of target your questions to the data set that you're actively looking at. But in addition to all this, we've announced that we'll be making available what we call bring your own language model. And so initially, we're going to start with OpenAI for obvious reasons. And that's coming really, really soon. We're working through the final details, but what that will allow customers to do, all customers of all shapes will be able to put in their OpenAI key. And then as soon as you put that key in, the assistant will become available to you on your instance instantly at that point. One of the great things about bringing in a public or a foundational model or a frontier model like OpenAI and others which will follow is that you can sort of mash up questions that require public domain information with your private data. So you could ask a simple question like, what were my sales since COVID? And then the public domain knows that COVID started in March 2020, and then your private data has sales and the other attributes and measures that you're interested in. Having said that, when you use, OpenAI or other language models, it is an agreement that you have with OpenAI. Your prompts will be sent to OpenAI for resolution, if you will. So your questions and answers will go back and forth between the OpenAI APIs. And so that's something that you have to take on by putting your OpenAI key into the Oracle Analytics console. So that's coming soon. I'm super excited about both modalities. And so let's take a look at what this actually looks like on the canvas. So the way the assistant works is, let me fire up a video here, is that, let me start my video from the beginning. Sorry about that. So at the top of the workbook, you'll see a new tab that has watch lists as well as a new assistant tab. And so within the assistant tab, you literally, it couldn't be any simpler. You type questions. So here, for example, is there a relationship between sales and cost based on cities? And so the system will automatically figure out exactly where that information is, produce a query based on the type of query. It'll pick an appropriate visualization. But in addition to that, we also provide what we call additional insights. So I'm super excited about additional insights. It doesn't look like much right now, but the potential there is really amazing. By leveraging what we've already done as part of the Auto Insights feature that's been around for quite some time, we can automatically come up with relevant questions that might be answered based on, or additional questions that might be answered based on the results that came back. So, if you're looking for sales and costs based on cities, it might make sense to highlight which year was the top year or which 5 regions are the top regions. And so I'm super excited about that capability. We're just starting with it, and we have lots of interesting improvements to that. Now, unlike our homepage search, you can actually do incremental conversations here. So now I'm saying, I want to see only for New York and Chicago. Maybe I want to add Seattle and Anchorage. And so you see that it's an incremental conversation. We also have these little, we call them chat starters, these little affordances that are contextual to what you're doing. So based on what you're doing, it's likely that you might want to change, for example, the chart type, or maybe I want to add or remove a column. And so what we did is, rather than force you to always type everything, why not give you, a quick shortcut in order to do an action that you're really likely to do? What we found in our usability studies is that, chat's a great interface, but it's not always the most efficient way to do things. Like the mouse is a really effective, device for doing quick actions. So in this instance, I'm going to click change chart type. It shows me a list of chart types, and there you go. I can change it to a bar chart. This example. And of course, you can incrementally refine your query. Here, I'm going to add a customer segment. And of course, I can grab it at any point in time. I could have grabbed it and thrown it onto my canvas here. So now we see that it takes on the style of the canvas. And also, if something catches my attention, I can say, hey, let's add that to my watch list on the home page. So this is great for those things that you want to keep an eye on all the time. So you just, with one click, you can add that to your home page. And then let's take a look at, you can, create a new chat and ask, maybe a little bit more of an elaborate query, like, when the price is above 100, what's the average cost? And then I could ask a follow-up on that, which combines a couple of actions into one. So I want to add priority and product type. And the reason I chose this particular question is that when you think about what's actually happening behind the scenes, it's, finding shipping costs, doing an average, and then finding for all the orders that have a unit price of over 100, filter on that. Now, when you think of the gestures you would have had to do in order to accomplish this simple result on the canvas, the voice is like this magical thing where, with one quick question, I'm actually shortcutting maybe 20 clicks, depending on what the result comes back. So we're super excited to make that available. Again, that started rolling out to our larger shapes right now. And, again, in November, it'll go down by a couple and then so forth in the forthcoming months. So the kinds of questions you can ask, you can do things like the one I did in this demo. I didn't show any date logic, but you could say things like, hey, what were the sales by week last summer, last quarter, last year, 2 years ago? Some pretty straightforward things, or between the start of the year and the end of the summer. And I love that example because if you think of sort of the UI and clicking around that you would have had to do, open a calendar, go to the beginning of the summer, the year, find the end of the summer. So voice in some instances is really a quick accelerator. It'll do, aggregations on the fly, average daily sales. It could figure that out. Top 3 products in terms of sales, and so forth. So I think you get the hint. So how do I set this thing up? So it's quite straightforward in the dataset inspector. So you right click on any dataset today and you go to the search tab, and then you'll find an option for the assistant. Excuse me. And then within the assistant, you can, turn columns on and off for the assistant. So why would you turn a column off? Maybe there's some confidentiality information that you don't want to expose, credit card, account numbers, social security, those kinds of things. But what's really important, the most important thing in this screen is the notion of synonyms. And synonyms have been around a while, but when you think of the age of AI and language models, the more descriptive information that you could share with the language model, the better it will be at answering those questions. Now, in this simple example, my column names are super, super clear. Order priority, I mean, that's pretty clear. But, maybe in a database table or in a column in a data set, it may be OPRI. And so here you would really want to give a synonym to help clarify that for the language model. So the effort of creating synonyms is really, really important in the dawn of the assistant, if you will. So the more descriptive information you can share with the language model, the better you're off in terms of answering questions. Now, you have to, it's not magic, right? So, when you see a demo like the one I just did, and it's like, oh, this is magic, let me go try it. And you just flip a switch and turn it on. There is some work and some planning that you have to do in order to make your data sets descriptive enough for a language model to answer questions. So it's not magic. You have to put the thought in of how people are going to ask questions. And so it's not hard to do this, but it's not this magical thing. You turn it on and anybody can ask any question of a data set. And so you sort of have to start thinking a little bit different in the age of AI. It's not just about the data in your data set. It becomes more about the question. And so you have to start thinking of like, the questions are the new center of the universe. If you want to, make the assistant super compelling, able to answer all sorts of complicated questions, you sort of have to stop thinking of data modeling from the data forward and start thinking of data modeling from the kinds of questions you anticipate backwards. And so that's sort of a new thing that you have to sort of factor in when you're going to be designing or configuring your data sets for the assistant. So it's just a new way of thinking. You need to start to think backwards from your questions. And so some of the best practices around that is you have to annotate or enrich your data, or metadata, I should say. Oh, there's a typo there. I apologize. So that, it's more human readable, right? So, deals that are at risk, if somebody might ask that question, you have to have some sort of indicator in your data set that is low, medium, high risk customers or deals. Likewise, a happy customer, right? Well, certainly you need to use one of our data prep options like sentiment analysis and annotate the data. The language model is not going to know that uh, a satisfaction score of X means happy and Y means unhappy. So you have to make your data more descriptive and so forth. So make your metadata more human speak like, if you will. Also, don't index things that people would never ask about, right? So if you have a product key in your table, nobody's ever going to ask a question about a product key. Leave that out, because if you have a bunch of information that the more noisy your index and information that you send to the language model is, the less accurate your answers will be. So those are things you should exclude, things like IDs, keys, those kinds of things. Also, if you have things like org level 1, person name 1, that's not useful to a language model. So make sure you call it division, business unit. These shorthands that we've gotten used to over the years become sort of a bit of a liability for language model. They don't know what org level 1, 2, 3, X is. So you need to sort of put that thought in. Again, not difficult things, but you have to think about it. You have to use synonyms to help the language model disambiguate or clarify. So, for example, if you've got 4 months, you've got order date, ship date, bill date, invoice date, all perfectly logical dates. But if somebody says, show me sales by month, which one do you want, right? What's the default date? So you have to think about those things, and using synonyms, you can do that. If you've got acronyms in your data, like OCI, well, that's Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So you have to know that, give hints to the language model to understand that OCI equals Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And then last but not least, things like nulls and, sort of not dirtiness, but data that's not well cleansed will become difficult for the language model to resolve. So don't index things that aren't ready to be indexed. So I'm super excited to have the community start using the assistant, and there's a lot of excitement. We see early adoption is off the charts already. So I look forward to bringing it to more and more customers over the next few releases. And I'll be answering questions here on the chat for the next little while. So I'll pass it over to Avinash.
Hey, Jack.
Or do we want to answer the quick question live, Alex? Do we have
Yeah, there
time?
were a couple of questions I marked that we should take live.
You can. Couldn't pay attention.
Yeah, sure. The first one is, can we ask the assistant to add a trend line or forecast to the visualizations?
Yeah, so in the first iteration, we focused on the assistant being able to produce visualizations and effectively results, mostly based on queries, if you will. We 100% are working towards having the ability to do all sorts of manipulations, from add a trend line. Now, if you had a trend in your data, of course, it would have picked up the trend, but things like show me clusters or highlight outliers, or something as trivial as hide the legend, right? Those are all things we're working towards. In this initial release, it was about getting you the answer to your questions, and progressively we'll make the language model more and more adept at answering some of those other.
All right, thank you. The next one is, is it possible to include the additional insights, the descriptions that the assistant provides along with the visual to the canvas?
Is it, could you reread? Sorry, there was background noise here.
Is it possible to include the additional insights content into the workbook?
In this release, it's it just puts the chart. We are working, like I said, on turbocharging that additional insights, and effectively it will allow you to do that sort of kind of gesture in a different way, but we're not there
Okay.
yet.
And there is a question around the timeline of when the assistant will be made available to FDI customers.
To FDI customers. So the right now FDI is largely based on subject areas, as we all know. Now, the subject areas, actually, we're actively testing right now on subject areas. It's just not available yet for the public. So as subject areas become available to everyone, FDI will, of course, start uptaking that logically. Now, having said that, if your FDI instance is over 10 OCPUs right now, and you have some data sets that you manage in sort of parallel with your FDI data, conceivably you could see this in the assistant, sooner than later. So, but we are actively working with the FDI team to make this available for FDI. But of course, there is that prerequisite that it must work on subject areas, which is effectively our number one priority right now, just not available yet.
Thank you. There's one more question which I don't understand, but perhaps we need more information from Jose. He's asking, does the assistant use data catalog metadata? I'm not sure.
So so there's a couple of ways that question could be answered, but today it is the metadata associated with the data sets only, including the synonyms and the additional examples I was giving as part of the best practices. We are actively working on having extended annotation capabilities so that you could use things like semantic model descriptions and some of these other descriptive artifacts that come eventually from the data catalog as well. So it's a roadmap item, but we're thinking very hard of. So as I was mentioning, it's very interesting in the age of large language models. Anywhere, any sort of business and highly descriptive information about your data becomes like gold. And so everywhere we think we could mine this descriptive information, we will look at mining it. And so the data catalog is a logical place. So we just don't have a timeline for that, but it makes sense.
All right, thanks, Chuck. There's a couple of more questions if you could respond to the Q&A.
Okay.
I'll share my screen in the interest of time, and we'll go with the general roadmap update. I hope you can see my screen. Alex, please confirm.
Yes.
All right. So the roadmap is updated every quarter by the product strategy team, right in the community website. One thing to be cognizant of the roadmap is that there are a lot of items that is not in the roadmap that we continue to work on, like the minor enhancements, and as we see fit, we prioritize them and we ship them as part of our product releases in a year. Let's start with the current and the upcoming sections. Almost all of the features that you see on the current sections has been delivered through the different releases for OAC in 2024, and all of these features will be available for our OAS customers with the annual update coming in 2025. Some of the features that I would draw your attention to, and a lot of these are features that we have ideas in the community, in the Idea Lab, that you have or customers have logged. And there's a lot of features that we are also closing gaps between our classic BI and OAC, and helping our OBIE customers to sort of migrate our content into OAC. And then there are our roadmap items that we continue to sort of execute on. So calc is is one of the biggest pain points that we've had for authors, is that when you reference a calc in a calculation, we copy the entire expression, and that made it difficult for any updates to sort of flow through. More importantly, the readability was a nightmare. So we kind of addressed that. And then with September update, when you reference a calc within the calc, we will reference by the name and will not copy the entire expression. And any updates to the reference calc in terms of the definition of the calc itself will automatically flow into all of the calcs that references it. Responsive canvas is one of the advanced features for our authors to design responsive behavior for your workbooks. It's a super simple UI in terms of launching a new modality and setting breakpoints, screen sizes, and then reordering your canvas, your visualizations in the canvas for different screen sizes. Data Actions has new launch points that allows more flexibility for the author to define how, when invoking a data action, right? How does the experience, look for the consumer user? We added a new option called a dialog or a pop-up that provides a lot more flexibility in terms of staying on the current source workbook and still opening up your target canvas or workbook in a dialog or a pop-up mode. We've also added geometry data type support to the product, which makes it incredibly helpful to do a lot of spatial calculations within your MyCalc expression. More importantly, you can simply drag and drop this geometry columns into maps and enhance our overall map experience. It opens up a lot of avenues for us to improve our overall experience for maps and spatial expressions within the product. And there's also this concept of reference layers added to maps, static reference layers that you can bring. These could be business data that are represented in form of static maps that you may want to overlay on top of your actual data, map data in the UI. Parameters has been one of our key features. We are expanding our scope of parameters, and the important one that we did this year is to bind the parameter to a request variable. So this allows the author to design an experience that way based on a user request, right? The request variable can then update the value of the session variable in the RPD for a given session, and a user request. Visualizations have a lot of updates going on. The most important one that is of interest to me is our Sankey. Our Sankey visualization is improved to sort of match what Power BI and Tableau does. We'll continue to add more investment in that area. And then on the augmented sides, as Jock said, Oracle AI Assistant was the biggest one. So we kind of did a soft launch early this year, and then it's going GA for all customers with more than 10 new CPUs starting September and with a staggered release through next year. In addition to the assistant, we continue to integrate very deeply with our AutoML capabilities within the OCI stack. On the upcoming side, a lot of the critical features is coming in November 2024 update. A lot of these are, again, community ideas that we have had a lot of vote and feedback from customers, starting with workbook themes. These are styling artifacts. A privileged user with a fine-grained permission can create styling themes that define, specific color series that match your color blending for your customers, font properties, font styling, borders, backgrounds, you can also save them as custom themes for the entire instance and also add it as a default or make it as a default theme. Similar to themes, canvas layouts are sort of custom shared layouts designs that you can, share it with your instance, and those are available for your authors, and you can apply a canvas layout, and it acts as a template, right, allowing you to get started with the canvas designer real quick. And what's the important detail is that each of these canvas layout can have the responsive behavior embedded into it, so you don't have to worry about adding responsive behavior for every single canvas that you would manually create. And you can also save your existing canvas layouts as custom layouts. So we provide that functionality as well. MyCalc folder organization is coming in November, which is also has been a pain point. So you can now create folders, subfolders, drag and drop, move your folder calcs into these folders, do custom sorting, and then we'll add A to Z sorting in either Jan or March of 2025 OECF date. Oracle AI Assistant, not going to talk a lot about that. Jock has covered a lot about it. Contextual Insights is part of our AI experience for consumer users, where as a consumer user, I would be able to select a mark in a visualization, right-click, and then ask the product to explain the data that I selected. The product will use AI algorithms behind the scenes to generate up to 5 insights. And the user can, either like or don't like the insights. will remember that details. But the most important part is that this is for consumer uses and it is available both for data sets and subject areas. On the semantic modeler side, the biggest feature update that we're adding is support for EPM and S-based support. So for a lot of our EPM customers, you can now start using our cloud-based semantic modeler. It's an OAC. And then personalization, we continue to execute on the personalization journey. The November update will allow the workbook URL with persisted filters, so you can grab the URL with persisted filters, share the URL with your peers, bookmark them in your browsers. And then when you launch the workbook from the bookmark URL, we will use the persisted filters, that was used at the time of creating these URLs, right? A quick run through of some screenshots of the features. So this is the data action launch options that shows the new options. Pop-up is the most exciting one for me, as I explained. Geometry data type support. So in this example, GeoM is sort of a geometry data type in the data set or in the database that this is connected to. Not only in maps, you can, I think the most important critical feature is using it within spatial calculations in the MyCalc expressions. That provides a lot more flexibility for people who are more close to maps and spatial studio type visualizations. So calc and calc reference, the first screenshot is showing you that you can either drag and drop the calc into the calc editor or just do start typing in the name of the calc, which will show you the type ahead with a list of all the calcs and just select them. No longer referencing the expressions, but will keep referencing by name. On the right-hand side is the folder organization capabilities for calcs. So this is a feature where within the parameters tab, the action menu will provide a new option to bind a parameter to a request variable. Here's an example where the author is binding a parameter called select a currency to a request variable called preferred currency that's defined as part of the RPD. Workbook themes, new experience for users with fine-grained permissions assigned to create shared custom themes. You can define workbook level styling properties and visualization specific styling properties. And there's obviously a lot more scope that we can add to this experience, but the properties that you see here is what we believe is the most critical ones and the most often one based on data that we have. Dashboard layouts or shared custom layouts. So an empty canvas message will allow or show the user a new option to select a layout. There are two layouts that we ship out of the box, filter left and filter top. And then the 4x4 layout template is a custom template created by the user. So simply select on the layout. And then once you choose the layout, once you choose the layout, you can then drag and drop your columns into the empty Wiz container, or you can use Auto Insights panel to drag and drop the visualizations that the product has explored and generated as Auto Insights. You can also now be able to see a watch list that you curated for yourself as part of the panel. You can drop them, and then in future, we'll also support dropping the assistant into the Wiz containers as well. Show height visualization is a new capability. So this is a small video that's basically demonstrating that author can design an experience where visualizations are shown or hidden based on a condition. So here on the top is a parameter exposed as a filter control, and based on the measure value that the user selects, or based on the value that the user selects, right, that gets passed on to a parameter. And then we have added a new property in the visualization where you can bind the parameter and then define the condition type and build the experience to conditionally show our high visualizations on the canvas. This is a watch list based authoring. So in this example, I've applied a layout to my canvas, and then I can use the watch list to simply drag and drop into the empty Wiz containers. You can also do it from your insights panel. I believe we can also do it from Assistant. If not, we will add that support in future as well, like I said. The catalog is going through a major revamp in terms of experience. One of the biggest changes that we have done is and this is going in November, we've added a hierarchy or a tree sort of a navigation experience that most of the product has. To show all of your folders in My Folders and Shared Folders. And then there's the simple drag and drop experience for moving files and folders across your folders within the catalog. We are also planning to bring in data sets, data flows as part of the catalog experience. So you can sort of organize your content along with your workbooks and the related data sets and the data flows as into one single folders, right? So makes it more easy to manage your artifacts within the catalog. So that the data flows and data sets inclusion in the catalog will come early 2025. But this is the November update where we're changing the experience to a more tree-like experience. The scheduling of workbooks will also have the Excel support. This is going with January 2025 OAC update. So any feature up until Jan 2025, right, OAS customers are going to get it. So this one, I believe there is a limited availability program going on right now, but it will be GA in 2025. This is contextual insights. As you can see, the user has selected a mark in the scatter. They right-click. The context menu shows an option to show insights. And then there's a dialog that opens up, and it shows up. In this example, it's showing up with 3 insights. So the navigator on the bottom of the dialog allows you to sort of scroll through the insights. And you can also add the visualizations that the contextual insights generate as part of your watch list in homepage. So on the future state, some of the features that I'll draw your attention is selection steps is essentially the experience to allow hierarchy columns for filter operations. So it's an OBIE feature. It's an advanced feature. So we're adding it to the workbook. We'll have a newer UX for an author to define selection steps. And then we'll also have controls for the author to define what the consumer experience could look like, right? Either show the entire selection step dialogue or show a minimalized version of it. So we are right now in the process of determining if we would do a preview in January 2025 and then GA with March 2025. So we'll add more information to the delivery timeline soon. Contextual insights for subject areas is an active project in development. So the consumer uses sort of an AI experience for data sets will be expanded into 2025. Customized pages is sort of a new concept we are adding to home. Curated pages by users with special fine-grained permissions, where you can basically organize your content into structured swim lanes, make it specific to a domain, share the page to specific user roles or application roles or user groups. And some of the other organization level experience that we're adding to pages. On the workbook experience sites, in addition to new visualizations, which is not mentioned here, like Gauge, we started to work on Gauge. Org chart is in our roadmap for next year as well. We're also adding these non-analytical widgets or controls, if you like buttons, menus, navigation list, breadcrumbs. These 4 has been prioritized, but we're going to start with buttons. So this will allow more landing page style, allow an author to build landing page style experiences within workbook, more app-like experience, if you like, right? So some of those non-analytical controls will be added to the product in FY25. Obviously, more GenAI features will come in, not just in the form of AI assistant, but in general, the product overall will have a lot of GenAI infused product, smart experiences, if you like. A good example is, for example, you might want to generate a description for data sets, right? You might want to ask the AI to provide a good description for your data sets based on your metadata of the data set, right? That's one of the things that we're working on. So we have working through a prioritized set of use cases, and you will see, in general, the GenAI features inclusion will be added to the product. On the data sets, there's a lot of features coming, as you see on the roadmap for the future section. The dataset hierarchy is one of the popular ones that's been asked. So that's the one that I'm highlighting, and we'll start working on it. And on the augmented side, we'll add some capabilities for similarity analysis. And we also have this new offering that we announced at Cloudwell called the Intelligent Data Lake. So obviously, one of the most critical features that a lot of our authors want is a lineage integration, right? So we're trying to figure out how we can add the lineage integration powered by IDL behind the scenes, right? So that's a quick rundown of some of the critical features that we're working on. Obviously, I didn't call out a lot of features that is there, and a lot of these features are active projects in motion. So please continue to log your ideas and provide your feedback in the community. I thought I'll do a live demo of some of the features, but perhaps we don't have time. So if there's Q&A, perhaps I'll take the Q&A, and based on time, I can do some live demos of some of the November features. All right. Let me look at any
I can
timeline on the. Oh, yeah.
give you a quick one. I would like to create multiple presentation flows for a given workbook. Is there a plan to provide that in the future?
Yep, that's one of our AI use cases that we are trying to prioritize is how do we use not necessarily Gen AI, but how do we use AI capabilities for the product to automatically recommend various presentation flows? Um, yeah, definitely part of the roadmap. It's not a prioritized request yet, but we still need to work through the details on how it's going to flush out from an experience standpoint.
Okay. I see a couple of FDI questions that I think we should address offline just because I would need more information. Did you describe a timeline for anonymous public access? I might have missed it when you said it. So there's a question about public access or anonymous publishing work.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't have a date for that. We should probably have Alan comment on that. He's not on the call, but we can provide some updates in the community as to when that feature is targeted.
Okay.
Yep, understand on the pain points around that.
Any timeline on hyperlinks in the same window? I saw data actions working within the same window. I don't know if that's the same project.
Yeah, so if you use the data actions, you can configure to open it up as a new tab, same tab, or as a pop-up dialog. But if you're expecting a hyperlink from a text visualization to open up within the same canvas, there are no plans to do it. But I'd be curious to understand why you want to open such content in the same window.
Yeah, there are challenges technically when just from safe domains and
Right.
or being able
Exactly.
to replace the content in the active window.
Yeah.
So that's just so you understand some of the limitations there.
Yeah. Like for example, Google.com does not allow you to Google does not allow us to open Google.com in an embedded mode, right? It's just how they've set up their portals. So there are some challenges, like Jacques said, in terms of embedding certain content within our own canvases. Okay, lineage between workbooks and data sets. Yeah, we've just started on those discussions. Definitely part of the roadmap. It's very hard to provide a timeline at this point in time. But as we go through some of these updates in future, you will hear more about IDL, like Intelligent Data Lake, and its capabilities and how we plan to integrate into our workbook experience as well. Pop-up feature is giving very slow performance in FDI. Well, it's very difficult to answer that question live. Perhaps if you are experiencing performance issues, I'd highly recommend to open an SR. That way we can collect all the details through our support and understand what's going on.
So I see a new question around sort of more the life cycle, dev to prod kind of management.
Yeah.
It might make sense to have a more technical seminar at some point for the PMs who are responsible for more of that governance piece to talk to that.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you, Mikhail. I think more details and bringing in the right folks into the discussion might help. So I'll reach out to Mikhail.
the roadmap goes, much wider than what we can present in this amount of time. So Avinash and I are kind of front end guys, so we tend to emphasize the cool front end stuff. But there's a whole bunch of work going on around semantic models and that kind of stuff. Keep that in mind.
All right, I think that's about it. I'll pass it back to you, Alex.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. Do we have any comments from the Oracle team or any last questions from the attendees before we wrap up today?
One thing on my side, I will say thank you everyone for joining today. If you have any suggestion on how to improve this specific webinar, tell us or tell at least Alex if you want more demo, less blah blah, or more time for live question. Let us know and we will adapt. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for attending. We'll be posting this. It'll be available on the Oracle Analytics YouTube page. Give us a few days to get it out there, and be sure to check the community page for upcoming events. And we'll be back with another one of these roadmap events next quarter. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.